This is the Music and Mental Health Podcast with Theølogy and DJ Fat Lane.
What's going on, world? Welcome to the Music and Mental Health Podcast, episode 15. I like to start it off with a bang. That was mine and Player 2's remix of Pikmin's Forest of Hope by Hajime Wakai. Later on in the podcast, we are once again talking to the Icarus Kid because we just enjoyed our conversation so much that we had to get DJ Fat Rain involved too. So stay tuned for that at the end. But first, we have got music from the likes of After Us, Euphoric Nation, 808, Wade Watts, and yours truly. But first, we're going to listen to a track called Complex Life by Whaley. Enjoy.
This is the Music and Mental Health Podcast.
break it all. I gotta say, to every mountain that comes your way, I'm the one to take. There'll be struggles, there'll be wounds, but that won't stop me coming through. I give it all for you. What would you do?
After Us with Give It All There, the extended mix. And up next, we've got a little Wade Watts for you. Oh yeah. This is Euphoric Nation's remix of our first track we ever made called Avenoir. Enjoy.
Music and Mental Health Podcast.
So that's a little sneak peek of mine and 808's Grade C remix from Wind Waker. It is still a work in progress. I do have a couple things to fix on the mix still, but I was just so excited and wanted to share the progress that we have going on right now. A final version will probably be coming out after MagFest, so look forward to that. And next we've got I Am Mountain and Novex with Phoenix. Enjoy.
Music and Mental Health Podcast. This is the Music and Mental Health Podcast with Theølogy and DJ Fat Rain.
heard my remix of Secret of Mana's What the Forest Taught Me, and before that was also my remix of A Curious Tale from Secret of Mana. But up next, we've got my boy Slipstream on the decks here. This is his remix of Cornelia from Star Fox. Enjoy.
This is the Music and Mental Health Podcast. Music and Mental Health Podcast. This is the Music and Mental Health Podcast.
up next, we're going to close this podcast strong. We've got my remixes of Danger from Secret of Mana and Phantom and a Rose. Danger includes guitar from Ian Cowell, which is super exciting. And then Phantom and a Rose is a liquid drum and bass remix. Then we'll close it out with Final Fantasy IV, Blind's mid-tempo remix of The Kingdom of Baron. So look forward to that and enjoy. I just love Blind's remixes, and he'll just randomly send them to me, and then obviously I have to throw them in my mixes. I did actually play this track live when I played the Glotaku party in Columbus, Ohio, and yeah, it went off. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed the music portion of today's podcast. Without further ado, let's have a conversation with DJ Fat Rain and the Icarus Kid. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 15 of the Music and Mental Health Podcast. I'm Theølogy. Here with me, I've got DJ Fat Rain and the Icarus Kid again. We just couldn't get enough of him because the last episode was incredible. And we're here to get more of his insight on different topics. Today, we're sponsored by Murphy Pure Vegetable Oil Soap. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on. I have to. Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah. Woo. It's did you know that it cleans wood? Cool. Please don't sue us.
Please don't sue us.
Nathan.
I've got a glass of it right here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. So yeah, what do you want to talk about today?
Solid question. So Dan and I are both coaches, and there was a really interesting study that came up recently from the University College of London around depression and the correlation with antidepressants and SRIs.
Interesting. Can you define what that means for those who don't know? An
depression?
SRI? No, an SRI. Yeah.
Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. I forgot about the selective one, but yeah, a class of antidepressants that modifies, basically keeps serotonin from being absorbed in your brain, so more of it kind of stays around, increases, which has the effect of over time you'll have more serotonin. But
is depression and serotonin linked together? According to this study, the answer is pretty much no. And the outcome is basically suggesting that depression may be more strongly correlated with life events and mood and other actions. So this kind of goes into the coaching piece of what do we have control over in our lives, and how does that affect our day-to-day moods?
Interesting, man. The first thing that comes to my mind, just as you're saying that, is I did go through a time in my life where I was going through it was pretty low. I thought about suicide pretty much every day for a month. And then I started to change things in my life. And I came out of it, basically. I've always sort of invalidated that in my head of like, no, you weren't really going through depression. There were just some things happening to you and you had to just change what you were doing in your life. Like, it's always kind of been invalidated in my head, but according to this study, I guess that's not the case, huh?
Well, we also have to recognize that there is such things as clinical depression, other things which are imbalances, which are real. But it still kind of goes back to, in your life, what do you have control over? Mm-hmm. You have control over what you spend your time doing. You have control over who you're spending your time with and how that affects you. If you're in a bad relationship, that bleeds into everything you do. If you hate your job, that bleeds into everything you do.
Yep.
If you have toxic friends, they affect everything about what you're doing in your social life. So all of these kind of have sliding scale repercussions on your mood on a daily basis.
Right. Well, and you mentioned earlier, Dan and I are both coaches. Like, how does this relate to that?
Coaching is about looking inward, and Dan can go into this as well, but coaching is not therapy. We'll be very clear on this.
Right.
Therapy is about looking at the past, which is important and very useful. But, I think a lot of people who go to therapy come out of it saying, like, what do I actually get out of that? Like, I learned a lot, but how is that actually applying to your day-to-day existence?
Sure.
Coaching is about looking at the present and how you can work towards the future by asking questions, looking deeper, become more self-aware, and then applying techniques to help when situations arise. You have a different reaction, you have a different tool, you have different things that you can draw upon to change the outcome. Mm-hmm. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the metaphor I love to use between therapy and coaching is that, say, you're an athlete and you break your leg. And so first, you go to the doctor, you get your leg set, and then get to the point, you go to physical therapy, and then you get back to like normal level. And but you're an athlete, you need to actually be better. Then you'll go to a personal trainer to get you back up to athlete level. And I feel like those three people there is the line between therapy and coaching. Like the doctor is definitely the therapist of just getting you out of an absolute, like serious trauma, like, to the place where you can't even function. But once you're functioning at a base level, a coach can help you get to like what you're really capable of, I feel. And yeah, the past and the present and the future, that is definitely a big thing with that. And, as coaches, I feel like therapists are trained a lot more in what can go into the past. So you don't want to go too much into that, but sometimes there still might be something that's holding you back there. But at the same time, yeah, a lot of people do go to therapy, and this was my own experience as well. And after I was finished, I was like, okay, I've dealt with some of the traumatic things in my past, but I'm still not where I want to be with my mental health. And how can I improve that? So seeking out coaching myself was one of the big things that got me over writer's block, that got me, I'd gotten over the depression by that point, but I wasn't where I wanted to be.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I feel like then also just to correlate, like, in this podcast, we have to, of course, give disclaimers that, we're not like certified mental health professionals or anything. I do feel like this is more so like what we're doing here is more on the coaching side of things rather than the therapy side of things. Yeah, we do talk about past experiences, that's important, but it is in the goal, I guess, of moving forward and becoming the optimal self, right? But sorry. Oh, you breathed like you were going to say something. Sorry.
I'll put this on you, Bentley.
Okay. Yeah, please.
You've been through coaching.
Yes.
How has it helped and how has it changed your life?
Oh my gosh. In just immense ways. So like at first, and for those who don't know, Nathan was my life coach for a while, the fattest of brains. He like your coaching helped me immensely, man. Put it this way, I am in a season of my life right now with turmoil in moving. Basically have had to uproot my entire life because I got a dog. I've been kind of couch surfing and Airbnb-ing for the past like month because more or less we had to leave our home. And I remember back when my wife Maddie got her first job, she was crying every day because she just was treated like absolute trash in it. And she ended up getting a new job that would require us to move again. And we had just moved from Minnesota to Jersey to Pennsylvania. And I remember we had a coaching session one time, Nathan, and you really got me through that. You helped me see it as a opportunity for growth rather than a setback in my life. And ever since then, I have looked at every single sort of thing that has come up in a similar energy as an opportunity for growth. I'm like, how can I grow from this? How can I become a better version of myself from this? So yeah, your coaching helped me immensely. And I can't thank you enough for that. But I kind of want to talk about how your coaching styles might differ. Because obviously I've never done any sessions with Dan. I know that you're more in the ADHD niche, right? I'm just kind of curious on like what kind of methods that you use that might differ from Nathan.
I mean, it's tough for me to know, not having ever, worked with
I suppose,
Nathan,
yeah.
I had to
well,
guess.
but Nathan did just say like, oh yeah, this is kind of how I do it. I ask questions, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I guess based on that, and you're right. I'm sorry. It's kind of
no. Yeah, in general, it's always going to follow that format. And
yeah.
In general, it's about, you don't want to tell somebody to do something, all therapy and coaching, you want to ask the right questions to get somebody to come to that conclusion themselves, because even if you know what you want to tell them, they're going to hear it so much better that way if it's coming from within. But compared to therapy, coaching, you can kind of push them a little bit more. And if I had to guess, I would say with my program, there is a little bit more of that, because I have an 8-week program. And what I'm be doing is giving all the tools you need to deal with ADHD, assuming that you've already, been to a psychiatrist and gotten to a pretty good baseline, but the ADHD is holding you back from getting the things done that you want to do. So there's a combination of like traditional life coaching, and just the program that I've created to give you this big toolbox that, 3 months down the road, something happens, you don't necessarily need me as a coach anymore. You have all these things that you can use to deal with it. And it really depends, because everybody's starting from a different point with ADHD. I work with, people that are in college, and I work with people that are in their 50s, and you can't use the exact same methods for all of them. But ultimately, it's about, when things happen, are you like prepared to deal with it? Kind of like you were saying, it's just, mental health doesn't have to be the kind of thing that you deal with only when you're at the absolute bottom. It's like waiting until your physical health is at the absolute bottom to go to the gym or eat healthy. Right. You want to be proactive with it. And I feel like coaching in general is really focused on proactive mental health. And you get to the point where you do learn enough. Mm-hmm. Of course, working with coaches can always be better, but you have the tools and you're, more able to deal with things on your own.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, Tom Brady still needs a coach, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Very interesting.
Part of the goal of coaching is that we don't want people to carry on with us forever, unlike therapy in some ways. Like, we would like people to go out into the world and, bring new people into our fold, because that's kind of a happy moment with people like, you know what, I'm good now. I have the tools, and, maybe they'll come back in 4 or 5 months and do another session to kind of reflect. But the goal is to let people go into the wild and find their own way.
Yeah, I feel like working with a personal trainer, like when I first started doing barbell work, I did have to hire somebody because I was doing such awful form that I was injuring myself. If I had the money, I would honestly have one all the time, but it just comes down to, where do you want to spend that? But honestly, like, at this point in my life, I always budget like a pretty big thing for some kind of mentoring, some kind of like education and learning, because you get so much more back from that than, say, buying new gear. Like, that could be, fun and important too. But I'm like, man, I wonder how much further I could have gone if I had been working with coaches or like joining other big mastermind programs, because that's just in the last few years how much it's leveled me up.
Huh. That is really interesting. I tend to be one of those people who tries to sort of get stuff like that for free from like YouTube and, other sources, the library, dare I say. Yes, I do still go to the library. Sue me. But please don't sue us, Murphy's wood oil. Anyways, okay, so I guess my question here would be, how have you noticed that like the paid stuff is like better? Is it because you're held more accountable? Is it because there's like a psychological thing of like, I've paid this, so I should get something out of it? I don't know. Maybe this is a dumb question. Maybe it's not.
That's not a dumb question at all. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, what I put on you is like, if someone buys a Peloton and is like, I'm going to get super healthy, and they've got the subscription program and it just sits in their bedroom, it doesn't matter how much you invest in something. It's how much you put into it. And if you're investing in yourself with someone who you're having a call with, it's different versus, just going to, how many people out there have a gym membership and maybe go once a month or once every 3 months?
Yes, exactly.
So coaching is also not necessarily, we're not here to be direct accountability. You have to be accountable to yourself.
That is true. That is how you treated our sessions. Yeah.
We're here to support, but we're not going to be bugging you. Have you done your homework? Have you done this? Have you done that? It's like, you have to act and treat yourself as an adult in a learning journey to improve your own health, mentally and physically.
Totally. And I was kind of hoping that one of you would say something like that, because when, I paid you, Nate, to do coaching sessions, and I got so much out of it. Right. So like, yeah, perfect. I did kind of set that one up. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm actually gonna counterpoint that one a little bit, because I feel
the
amount that you pay, but it's
sure
amount versus like how much you have, and that can be really good. And that's when I've spent for the music mastermind I did last year, like we're boot camp. I did pay attention, even though all that information was on YouTube, and I wasn't implementing the stuff I found on YouTube. I might look at something every now and then. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But once I drop thousands of dollars, I'm like, oh shit, I better pay attention.
Yeah.
that I feel like definitely comes in, where it's not really the amount that you get back. It's just that, oh, I have to get my money's worth out of this, or otherwise I've wasted it.
Right. Exactly.
I think there's definitely a lack in society right now around the mentality of investing in yourself. People are very okay with spending $30, $40, $50,000 on a college education, and most people don't really get much out of it these days. I think there was a quote from Conan O'Brien, who was doing a speech, was like, welcome to the other 92% of Americans who now have a college degree. You are beating the 8% of people who don't have it. And it's like, okay, so what kind of investment are you actually doing for yourself?
Right.
Education is important, but the access to therapy right now in the world we're in is very limited. There is teletherapy, which is honestly pretty much garbage because it's an energy connection, right? You need to create a personal connection with somebody. Yeah, you can go on YouTube and you can find things and apply in your own life. But for me, my personal experience, coaches within the coaching community help coach each other and learn from each other. And when you have that personal connection with another person talking, it makes a huge difference because you're actually able to find that resonance. And not every coach is right for everyone else, which is really important to have. I give one free session just to let's see how we're doing, see if this is a right fit or not, because not everyone is right for each other, and that's okay.
Not everybody's energies mesh, that's for sure.
Right. But it's really important to invest in yourself in some way, shape, or form. Maybe that's self-care and going to the sauna. Maybe that's spending $100 on a coaching session. Maybe that's a personal trainer.
Sure.
But we don't budget into our lives for the most part. Dan does, I do, something along those lines where every month I'm putting money into something that is improving my health in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm at the point where after I finish the program, I'm like, okay, what's next? And just realizing that when I'm in something and I'm working towards something, how much better like my mental health and productivity and the ability to work towards my goals is versus being on my own. Even though I have the tools, I will do well, but I know I'll do better if there's somebody else. So I'm working with a nutrition and fitness coach right now. Even though I've already learned tons about this in the past, just having that extra level of accountability and kind of filling in those last little gaps in the knowledge. So yeah, accountability is a big thing. But if you're the kind of person that can go to the library, that can learn everything on YouTube, more power to you. And honestly, that's a huge advantage. But if you're not, don't feel bad about it, because the majority of people don't have that level of complete self-drive without needing anybody else, because as humans, we're meant to be as part of a community. And mentorship in general, I feel like in human civilization used to be more emphasized. And now we kind of expect everyone to be out on their own. And we're not really built for that.
Yeah, I do have a thought, a couple actually. And, the first is to just kind of reemphasize what you said, and don't feel bad if you're spending money to improve yourself. Like, I guess you, in a way, are your biggest asset. Why wouldn't you invest in improving yourself? And secondly, what I do want to ask is, what would you, either of you can take this, it doesn't matter, you both can. What would you say to those people who aren't in a financial position to afford something like this? What kinds of resources would you recommend that are available in order to, improve mental health? And I mean, this is a resource, I guess, but like, what are some other things that you might recommend?
A lot of coaches out there will do work, do a sliding scale work with people. You can also treat it in some ways like, I don't know if you've ever been to a Veda Institute for their so you can get same kind of thing with like cheap haircuts. You can find people who are kind of newer in the coach community and use that as a pathway. But as far as like other resources, group sessions are a really good one. You don't have to be one-on-one. A lot of people are very afraid of group sessions, but there is a lot of power within it that is scary to a lot of people. But I would challenge people to allow themselves the opportunity to potentially do that.
Cool.
Yeah. Dan, what do you got?
Yeah, absolutely. Group sessions, especially in the ADHD realm, because a lot of times accountability takes a higher importance there, because if you're just trying to get stuff done, that isn't necessarily as complicated. And I do refer a lot of people that come to me to group sessions with other people, because I'm like, you don't need something as intensive as my AP program. But even if that is not feasible financially, maybe find somebody else that's in the same position as you, like a friend that you can be an accountability buddy, and then they meet and try to coach each other. Obviously, you want to find somebody that's at the same level as you, not somebody that's way ahead or way behind with whatever you're trying to do. Not ideal. I mean, you prefer better to have a coach, But if it's that or nothing, and if you're just like sitting around completely stuck, you're just scrolling the feeds all the time, you're miserable about it. If you can find a friend that has some kind of ambition, some kind of, desire to be better, but isn't doing it, try to coach each other. It's better than nothing.
Totally. And I guess that would also, give you comfort in the fact that you're not alone with what your struggle is, right? And that there is somebody in the fight with you who is relating to you on every sense of the word.
And I think that's one of the biggest human things in nature is that when you realize that you're not alone, and especially in your feelings, I think it's kind of ridiculous to think that in the world of now over 8 billion people, you're alone in your feelings.
Yeah, right. It's like really,
like there's someone else out there.
But it is so easy to get in that mindset of like, oh, they wouldn't understand because my situation is the unique one, and I would say 9 times out of 10, that's probably not true. Maybe even more, but who knows? I just kind of threw that statistic out of my butt. So,
most people do, and that's okay.
But, yeah, right. Did you know that 46% of statistics are not real? Anyways, so no, I would say that those are some really, really good ideas for if you're not finacially in a position to do that. But what? Dan's got the face. Yeah. You'll only see that if you're seeing the segment too.
Because when you're depressed and when you're in the absolute bottom, and I was depressed for years, and we're talking about SSRIs that, they kind of got me out of the very baseline, but they didn't fix anything. And I had to, actually get better by changing my life. But one of the best things you can do is to help somebody else. But that's also one of the hardest things to do, because when you're at the absolute bottom, it's hard to think of anything but yourself, and thinking about nothing but yourself just keeps you depressed. So it's hard to break out of that cycle. And if it's maybe expecting too much of two people that are very depressed to try to help each other out like that. But if you're at a point where you have that energy and, you are at the bottom, I'd recommend trying, because, and the best way to learn is to teach. And then
I was going to say it if you didn't
try to help somebody else, you realize you are helping yourself in the meantime.
I find for myself when I'm in low states, I guess I have high functioning ADHD in a lot of ways, and I tend to go, shiny objects, and then overwhelm myself. And for me, I to slow down. I meditate on the regular, but I'm really good at high level things. I'm really bad at breaking them down into small, manageable tasks when I overwhelm myself. And then I start to go into these places of, well, I can't do this. Oh, well, there's too much to do. And then I just stop. And it's just easier just to not do it, right? Instead of actually starting and carrying on. Yeah. So my resets when I go into those places is just to slow down, stop, write out all of what's in my brain, and then break that into smaller tasks and more manageable things. I can go, dopamine. Dopamine check. Dopamine check.
I love this. That's exactly some of the stuff I teach my clients. And
did I see a post from you on Instagram talking about that, Dan? I swear I did.
I've gotten to the point now where I just, everything that I do goes out there.
Yeah.
I love the bulleted lists for doing exactly what you're talking about, Nathan. Like if you're just feeling stuck, just brainstorm, get it all out there, and then start using the bulleted list going further down. I have dozens and hundreds of pages of Google Docs doing this, because once you get down to a certain level, you're like, oh yeah, this is a small little task and I could schedule this tomorrow. Whereas something that was like creating a new live act and booking a show out of this, which is like, oh my God, that's 300 hours of work. But once you start doing this, breaking it down, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do this and then this and then this. But getting from point A to point B can be scary, but once you start nerding out on it, it's actually kind of fun.
Totally. Yeah. Like it's the whole death by 1,000 cuts concept, I guess, where, we're not talking about death here, but do you know what I mean? Like that whole principle of like 1,000 cuts, and then the task is accomplished basically. What happened? No.
Are we going full pandemic here?
Yeah. Are we good? Yeah.
Reset.
Whoop. No, but seriously, that whole death by 1,000 cuts concept, that's how I tend to get huge projects done. So like I am currently remixing the entire Secret of Mana soundtrack right now. Yay. And what I did was I made a strategic plan, and I broke everything up into mini tasks. And I'm staying very much on task now, where If I didn't have this plan, I don't think I would be, as efficient with everything that I'm doing. So that's just one example, obviously, but yeah, it totally works. Nate, we lost him. Oh no.
He'll be back.
Yeah,
I'm
he'll
here.
Be back. Oh,
I'm
he
real.
is. Woo. I love it.
All right. How do we want to wrap this?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So I think the biggest thing I took away from this is don't be afraid to invest in yourself, even if that is monetarily. I know that, there is a mindset, I'm guilty of it, where I try to get stuff like that for free. But if you're financially able, there's no shame in it because you are your biggest asset.
Yep. And for me, it's like, start small. Depression's real.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, but if you take small steps and invest in yourself, you can find tools to improve your life.
Totally. Dan, any takeaways? It's okay if you don't, but if you do,
absolutely.
Throw it out. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be capital D depression, but if you're feeling stuck, and especially like I keep saying the doom scrolling thing, but I see it over and over again, if you're capable of more and you want to just break out of the cycle of the way you're spending your hours, you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to instantly, go find a coach and do that. If you, start small, help somebody else out, get them to help you, then maybe find a coach, then maybe join some programs, do some group coaching. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like any small little thing you do to improve yourself is going to build day after day. So
it's better than doing nothing.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. Amazing. Well, guys, this is great. The coaches of my life. Thank you so much for your time. Dan,
thank you for having me.
The Icarus Kid. If you've got ADHD, you want to boost to the next level, hit him up. Nathan offers. Well, are you doing coaching right now? Because
I do career and transformational. So
okay, sick. Yeah. So
that's my forte.
Nathan's also a coach. Hit him up. I don't do that, but if you want me to make a remix for you from a video game, I can do that. Anywho, thanks again. And yeah, we'll see you guys next month. Holy crap.
Love you all. Take it easy.
Love you too. Peace.
Cheers.